Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record every Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time. If you enjoy the channel, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on and you will get an email link with this full episode. And if you want to submit to this show, take a look at the information in the description. 1200. Wow.
12.
1200 Canadian. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you got a hand for us here?
Yes. This is a short-handed table.
Okay.
We only have 7 players.
Okay.
And this hand, two players sit out. So it's 5-handed.
5-handed. Okay.
And I'm the effective staff, 1200.
Okay. 1200 effective.
And we playing under the gun straddle.
Okay. So under the gun straddle to 10.
Yes.
So 5,
So this
5-10 or 2-5-10, whatever.
So this hand, 1 fold.
Okay.
Button raised to 30. Small blind call. Big blind fold. And I'm under the gun. And I 3-bet to 160 with king jack of heart.
So you're in the straddle, right?
Yes.
All right. So 5-handed, you're in the straddle. 2-5-10. You've got ace king of hearts in the straddle.
No, I have king jack.
Oh, king jack. King jack of hearts, right? King jack of hearts?
Yes.
King jack of hearts,
Yes.
right? So button to 30, small blind calls. Hero in the straddle makes it 160. So you're obviously incentivized here to squeeze with the small blind as dead money. I think that you could probably even 3-bet here heads up, but you are more incentivized to 3-bet this hand with the dead small blind. I remember, Anita, you came down and visited LA and we played a little bit at Hollywood Park, and you have a tight image, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have a tight
everyone
image.
think that I'm tight.
Okay. So this is a good play then, obviously, right? It's a good play here to make it 160 here with king jack of hearts. So you make it 160.
Button call, small blind fold.
Button calls who's another lady, right?
Yes.
Lady.
Another Asian lady too.
Another Asian lady. What kind of Asian? I always say that the Asian, Korean.
I think she's a Korean.
Oh, Koreans the biggest
really
tilt.
tight.
Biggest tilt is Korean women usually. I can. That's definitely for sure. But she's not tilting off right now, right?
No,
There's a
she's
gross
very
generalization.
tight.
Oh, she's very tight too. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is usually going to get through, but you make it 160. The button calls and the small blind folds.
Yes.
So the pot's like
So the flop is
360 or something like
350.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the flop is king of heart. 10 of heart, 9 of heart, 6 of diamond.
So you flop a straight flush draw here. 10 of hearts, 9 of hearts, 6 of diamonds, right?
Yes. Yes.
So this is pretty good flop, obviously.
I see bet 160.
Okay.
She call.
Now, I will say, and again, this is just as an aside here, that you would probably see a lot of hands checked here as a reflection of the fact that the button's going to have a much stronger sort of nuttish type of advantage here. Button versus straddle. Some 2-pair, some straights. You're not necessarily going to squeeze with 6s, but you might squeeze with 9s or 10s. But you certainly have to have some sort of betting range here. And again, usually in live poker, I'm going to bet off with most of my overpairs and things like that. Putting a combo draw in here with such good equity, I think is fine. So you bet 160. She calls. Pot is 680 now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Turn is a 10 of spades.
10 of spades. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
This is where I start. Like, I couldn't think of a bet that I could bet that she would fold a pair that she called me on the flop.
Yeah, this is, well, actually, this is kind of interesting here, because I remember you sent me this hand a while back, and I actually had some of the top section guys. I thought it was interesting. I said it to them. We haven't really talked about it on top section, but the pot's 680. You have about 900 left in your stack, so there's about a pot and a half size bet left. This is a check probably almost always, I would say. usually with your entire range in theory. Okay. But then you have to ask yourself, so there's a couple things going on here. Would I ever bet a 10 off here? Would I continue to bet pocket nines? Would I continue to bet, say, sixes or something like that? Would I continue to bet my nut hands here? Even if a solver were to say, oh, this is a 100% check, but then if you were to say, no, I want to bet because it's live poker some of the time, but I want to understand what's balanced and what does it mean to be balanced. And what I would say is that if you're going to bet off your nut hands here, then you have to have some of these sort of high equity bluffs, like a queen jack of hearts, like a king jack of hearts, like a king queen of hearts. And on the surface, playing live, it seems like almost like a gut check, right? Like it seems like an instinctual check here, and it's probably checked most of the time. But I don't think that I think you can put in some bets here. Because you might have some nut hands here as well, and this might be part of that betting range. You say, well, I don't think she's going to really fold anything off. What if she had like ace nine here or like 8-9? Is she going to continue to call here when you bet the turn? You know what I'm saying? Are you there?
Yeah, but I don't think she'll call me P-flop though. She's really tight. Like she's one of the players that is really tight, only playing like top 5% of her hand.
So do you think that she would okay, let me ask you this question. Do you think she would ever have ace queen or ace king here on the flop?
Yes.
So you've got
on the flop?
Yeah, when you bet the flop, would she continue on here with ace king?
Not with ace king, I don't think so.
So you think that
ace queen of heart maybe. Yes.
You're trying to get on board with the exploit that she's so tight, she's under defending the flop, basically, is what you're saying. She's just under defending. Yeah. The interesting thing about that is that if she's under defending, if she's the type of player that's under defending, you can actually use a smaller bet size on the flop, just for future reference. Because you can just sort of get a cheaper, you can get against somebody that's under defending, you can get a cheaper price on your bluff, right? So what you're saying is that you just don't think that anything's going to fold now. Like her range is so tight now that she called the bet, she's either going to have a 10 or an overpair for the most part, right? Is that what you're basically saying?
Not overpair, like pair sixes, 7, 8, or overpairs.
Yeah, but if she has 7s or 8s though, she's going to fold out now, right? If you were to bet turn.
Yes.
So that's why I think that there can be some bets. You see what I'm saying on turn, and this might be one of them. But most of the time it's going to be a check. So did you check?
Yes, I checked.
All right. And what happened?
She bets 200.
And she bets 200. Okay. This is interesting. So very small sizing here.
Yes.
I mean, you're obviously going to have to continue here with a call, it seems like. I mean, for the most part. I mean, would there ever be any check raises here? Again, it's kind of the same thing back to the flop where it's like, well, if you have some super nutted hands that you might play as a check raise on the turn, you could have some very high equity draws that you could check raise on turn as well. Her sizing is kind of interesting for a tight player. It almost seems like it's a protection sizing. Like, is she betting jacks here? Is she betting queens? Is she betting like a 9? Is there a hand where she's betting something here that could fold? It's quite interesting. Usually when I'm dealing with tight live players, they're going to blast this turn quite a bit, even though they don't really need to. She can get all the money in the pot. I mean, a standard line here is to basically check call. Did you call?
Yes, I did call.
Okay, so she bets 200 into 680. She bets 200 into 680. You call. The pot is 1,080, and now 360, 520. So you guys have about 680-ish left, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to the
river. So the river is the ace of clubs.
Ace of clubs. Okay. So what did you end up doing here?
I pushed.
So you moved all in.
I have more ace, king, ace, queen here.
Yeah, so this is...
have kings, queens, jacks.
Here's the thing.
It's hard for her to call.
Yeah, here's the thing. And she might be on that type of level, but... And when you first texted me this hand, whatever it was, weeks ago, I was actually at the poker table, right? And I saw this, and I was like, The problem with the problem that I have with your line of thinking here at the end is that against a thinking player or any type of competent player, I just if you have ace, first of all, the only ace king here you're going to really have is hearts, right? Like ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, for you to basically check call turn, I would feel like, right? 10 of hearts, 9 of hearts, 6 of diamonds turns 10 of spades, right? You're not going to have an offsuit ace king, right? But even if you were to have ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, ace jack of hearts, Anita, put yourself in that position where you have that hand. Are you going to move all in now on the river when an ace comes?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? So, like when you first texted me this hand, I was like, I don't know if I was in your opponent's position, if I would fold like anything here, because your line just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Occasionally, I'll be on the button and you'll make this play and I'll call and you have pocket aces, a hand that I would have thought that you had checked at the end. And also, too, it's interesting because if you do have aces and you play it this way, how do you play the river? The river seems like it should be a check raise all in with aces because it really shouldn't be called. I mean, it's just like one of these spots where you have to let her bet off her bluffs and she's going to bet off a 10 in full houses and things like that, right? Some people will just bet their hand and they'll bet it all in, but I would have a hard time folding here if I was your opponent, and I would think that the only thing that you really could have here would be pocket aces. Or if you were possibly, see the other thing, I mean, another hand that you might have would be like ace 10, but that would take a sophistication level where you were checking the turn when you made trips to now check the river at the end when you fill up, which those two things, like, but because you moved all in, they seem a little bit incongruent. Like, put yourself in an example of a guy in the straddle, 3-bets ace 10, bets the flop on 10-9-6 in a 3-bet pot, identifies the situation, and now checks the turn when he has trips because he blocks the trips, right? And your opponent can have a lot of floats and bluffs, and now the river's an ace. That type of opponent that's going to check a 10 on the turn is not going to be betting all in with ace 10 from up front on the river. It's going to be a check. It's going to be played as a check raise. So if I'm your opponent on the button here, I would have a hard time as a thinking player folding really like anything. And like I said, occasionally you might run in with aces here. But I think what it really comes down to is that think about what you would do here with ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, ace jack of hearts if you arrive on the river. And I don't think it's going to be an upfront shove because you have to have respect for the fact that your opponent can have trip 10s, can have a straight, can have a boat. If anything, it's going to be a check evaluate, right? With the nut flush draw from up front. Are you with me? That was a mouthful.
Yes. So you're saying that she has a boat. So she bet 200. Yeah, I guess she can bet $200 on the turn.
You mean you just think that she would bet larger? You mean you? It sounds to me like you just sense that you just seem she was making like some sort of protection bet with an overpair, and you thought
on the turn.
Right.
Turn is just a weird, like really weird bet.
Right.
Kind of weak to me.
So you think that the reason why you made this play was because you sort of interpreted her turn bet as a protection bet, not with trips, but as a protection bet with like jacks, queens, or kings, and you think if I jam this, she'll fold those hands.
Yes, because the flop is pretty wet. Like if you have trip 10, I would bet larger on the turn.
Well, the thing is that this is one, like I said, I had one of these top section guys run this, is that she's actually used the correct sizing on the turn with a lot of her range. And that's why it's really difficult. I'm not saying that she would in reality, but with these stack sizes, it's actually like a good sizing on the turn. Because if she chooses to bet on the turn and she's betting her protection hands for 1/3, right? Her nut hands for 1/3, and some of her sort of floats for 1/3, it gets the job done. You don't really know what she has. Now, I can get on board with you that if you play with the same players over and over and over again in the same player pool, you can definitely interpret what someone has by their bet size. But if somebody was actually playing really well with their sizing and betting their entire turn range that they were going to bet for this sizing, it's actually quite good for this sizing. But I don't think you're allowed to really move all in. Now, what ended up happening? So you moved all in. What ended up happening?
She was like talking, asked me, what do you have? And either, I don't think you buff here. And then she called with ace king off. She has no heart on her hand.
Wow. Okay. So V1 calls ace king off, no heart. That really shouldn't. Ace king off, no heart. That's really close on the flop. I to your sizing, it probably should be folded out. Obviously, with a heart, it can be continued. So her turn size, I guess, was a kind of a bluff. It's kind of a weird hand to. It's a sort of a weird hand for her to bet for 200. Like I said, the sizing itself, I guess the way that this was played was sort of lucky that it was correct. But I bet ace king doesn't be put into a bet there. It shouldn't really be bet because when you think about it, why would you bet ace king? Unless you thought you were going to fold out the same hand. Because I imagine that you're not going to be check folding queens, kings, aces. So the only reason why you would bet ace king here would be like she was going to run a bluff across the river. And you wouldn't really do that with ace king off, where ace king would very occasionally be put into a bet on the turn would be ace king with the ace of hearts with the intention of basically blasting all in on the river as a bluff when the hearts came in. But it's strange that she arrived there with ace king. She probably didn't know why she was betting the turn. Because why would you bet the turn with ace king? Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? And then I think as played though, she has an easy call. When she has one of the aces, she just has an easy call. Like I said, like the only hand that you're really playing this way like this might be pocket aces. And if I've got ace king and I have one of the aces, it is what it is. You might have quad tens here too, occasionally, right? You might play quad tens this way. It's a bet 160 call. But I mean, I think at that point she's going to call here with ace king. But
it still took her 2 minutes to call it.
Yeah, well, but again, I think it's interesting to note though that I think that you can bet the turn. If you're going to be betting some of your nut hands here in this situation on the turn, I think you can bet the turn with some of your high equity draws, and you would have gotten the fold actually here too.
How much should I bet on the turn?
I mean, what do you got left here? 160 and 160, 320. You've got not what do you have? 900 left, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Across the turn.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go. Honestly, you could probably go 350, 400 and then give up if she calls. You just play it like a 2-straight game. You know what I mean? I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head what the bet size would be on the turn. It could be smaller. Again, it all depends on what you want to accomplish. I don't know off the top of my head what an optimal bet sizing would be, but if you're going to be betting some nut hands on turn, you have to have some bluffs to inherently be balanced. I think it would have gotten through, but not to be results oriented. If I were to put myself in your opponent's spot and I knew that you were sort of tight and you were thinking player here, and I knew that and it wouldn't make sense for me that you would play ace king, ace queen, ace jack of hearts like this from up front, I'd have a very hard time laying down my protection bets. Like if I bet 9-8 on the turn against you and you made this play on the river, I'd have a hard time laying that down. I mean, I'd have to start to invent a hand that you have here where I don't want you to like accidentally win, but it just wouldn't make a ton of sense. It would just seem like your upfront is just like it's either quad tens or it's pocket aces, and then I'd start thinking of them like, and then I'd be like, well, do you have like Broadway, king queen, king jack, queen jack of hearts? I'd have to start counting on the combinations, but it would be very very odd. So if I'm thinking about calling here with 9-8 because the line is so odd from you from up front, it's just it's pretty precarious. Thanks for the call, Anita. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.